There are moments in life when the heart speaks softly, almost like a letter written in silence, meant not for the world, but for the soul that carries it. Today, I want to share a reflection born from that quiet place, something I like to think of as love's secret letter. This letter is not written on paper nor sealed with ink. It lives in the relationships that shape us, guide us, and remind us who we are long before the world gives us a title. For me, that begins at home with the people who have walked beside me since the beginning. Among them, one presence stands closest, my sister Sofia. She has been the steady hand in my busiest days, the calm voice in moments of uncertainty, and the person who knows me not as a symbol, but simply as someone who tries, learns, and hopes. Our bond is not only a part of my life, it is one of its quiet strengths. When responsibilities grow heavier, it is this bond that lightens them. When expectations rise, it is this companionship that keeps me grounded. And when I look toward the future, a future built on service, dedication, and the trust of our people, I know I am not walking toward it alone. Love's secret letter, in truth, is not about romance. It is about loyalty, gratitude, and the affection that teaches us how to carry responsibility with grace. It is about the kind of love that doesn't demand attention, yet remains present in every important step we take. In my journey, love appears in the form of duty, a duty to serve, to listen, and to grow. It appears in the faith my family places in me, and in the quiet encouragement of a sister who believes in me, even when I am still learning to believe in myself. As we move forward together as a family, as a community, as a nation, I hope we all carry our own secret letters, reminders of what gives us courage, what keeps us human, and what inspires us to rise higher than our fears. And so, to all of you watching, thank you. Your support, your trust, and your kindness form their own gentle message, one I carry close to my heart. And to the person who has walked each step with me, my sister, I owe a gratitude deeper than words. Our bond will always be one of the clearest lines in the letter I continue to write with my life. May we all continue to grow with purpose, with unity, and above all, with love the kind that never needs to be spoken loudly to be felt profoundly. Thank you, and may your own secret letters guide you with light. Here is a 1,000-word expansion, written entirely in Leonor's gentle, sincere, dignified tone, without headings, without her name, and without referencing that it is a speech. It should feel as if she is speaking from her heart, in her own real style, poised, honest, emotionally thoughtful. There are feelings that do not arrive with noise or grand gestures. They enter quietly, like a soft wind at dawn, or a whisper in a room that is otherwise still. Love, in its purest form, is often like that. It does not demand attention, it simply waits to be felt, and when it is finally recognized, it feels like discovering a letter that has always been there, written somewhere deep within, waiting to be read. I have come to understand this more clearly as I have grown, that the most powerful emotions are not always spoken. Sometimes they exist in the silence between two people, in the trust, in the shared glances, in the unspoken understanding that connects one heart to another. This secret letter of love is not a romantic confession, nor a dramatic revelation. It is something much quieter, yet far more enduring. It is made of the people who teach us how to care, how to remain patient, how to hold our responsibilities with grace rather than fear. It is shaped by the moments that do not appear in public, the moments that are known only to a few and felt only by those who share them. For me, many of these moments belong to my family, and most tender among them belong to the bond I share with my sister. There is something profoundly grounding in having someone beside you who has known your laughter, your doubts, your uncertainties, and your dreams long before they became visible to others. Growing up with such companionship has felt like carrying a quiet strength, one that does not announce itself, but lives in every step, every choice, every breath of courage. It has taught me that love is not something we search for, It is something we grow into. It grows with honesty, with loyalty, with the willingness to give more than we take. It grows when we learn to listen to others, when we try to understand the world not through our own perspective alone, but through the eyes of those who walk beside us. There have been many days in my life when the expectations placed upon me felt larger than my own shoulders. On those days, love appeared not as comfort alone, but as reassurance. It reminded me that no one walks toward the future entirely alone. It reminded me that true love in the form of family, trust, and loyalty stands with us even when the path becomes steep. It reminded me that the most sincere devotion is found not in what others see, but in what remains unseen, a word of encouragement, a shared understanding, a presence that never needs to be announced. As time passes, I find myself thinking more often about what it means to serve, to lead, and to grow. These are not simple questions, nor do they come with easy answers. But love, in its quiet and constant way, has always been one of the answers. It is the force that teaches us to stay steady, to act with empathy, to see beyond our own concerns. It helps us understand that leadership without humanity is hollow, and responsibility without connection is incomplete. Every purpose worth carrying must be held with affection for the people it is meant to serve. This is why my secret letter is not written only for myself. It belongs to those who have helped shape me. It belongs to my sister, who has always stood beside me not because she had to, but because that is who she is, loyal, honest, and full of a kindness that strengthens those around her. It belongs to my family, who have shown me that strength is not measured in authority, but in the compassion to listen and the humility to learn. It belongs to the many people who place their trust in me, even as I continue to grow into the person I hope to become. Love's secret letter is also a reminder of the values that guide us. It speaks of patience, of courage, of the ability to stay open-hearted even when the world becomes loud or complicated. It urges us to stay connected to the parts of ourselves that are gentle, because gentleness is not weakness, it is clarity. It is the clarity that allows us to act with intention rather than impulse, with wisdom rather than fear. It is the clarity that allows us to care for others without losing ourselves in the process. I have learned that love is not only an emotion, it is a responsibility. It asks us to show up for others, to choose kindness even when it is difficult, to remain steady even when life feels uncertain. And though these things do not always come easily, they become easier when we know we are supported, when we know that the people we love walk with us quietly, faithfully, consistently. Every person carries their own secret letter. Some find it in friendship, others in family, and some in the dreams that guide them. It does not matter where it begins. What matters is that it gives us strength. It teaches us to hope. It teaches us to rise each time we stumble. It teaches us to see the world not as a place of fear, but as a place where kindness can still grow, where connections can still be meaningful, where love can still be a powerful force for good. As I continue to write my own letter not on paper, but through actions, choices, and the life I am trying to build, I hope it carries the values that matter most. I hope it reflects gratitude, humility, and the understanding that no heart grows in isolation. I hope it becomes something that offers reassurance not only to those close to me, but to those who believe in a future shaped by unity and respect. And so I hold this letter close, not as a secret to be hidden, but as a truth that guides me. It is a reminder that love does not need to be loud to be real, and it does not need to be dramatic to be meaningful. It simply needs to be sincere. It needs to be steady. It needs to be honest. If you want this expanded into a 1,500 word version, or want 2 more tones, emotional and formal, I can create them. Here is a 1,000 word expansion on Leonor and Sofia's bond, written in Leonor's natural tone, sincere, calm, thoughtful, emotionally controlled yet deeply heartfelt. No headings, no mentions of the title, and no reference to her name. It simply feels like she is speaking. There are relationships in life that quietly shape who we become. They do not ask for recognition, and they do not need to be placed in the light to be meaningful. Some of the strongest bonds grow in the silence of daily life, in familiar routines, in shared childhood memories, and in the certainty that no matter how much the world changes, one person will always understand you without explanation. That is the nature of the bond I share with my sister. It is difficult to describe such a connection without feeling that words fall short. We grew side by side, not only in the same home, but in the same rhythm of expectations, hopes, and responsibilities. There were days when our paths felt completely aligned, and days when they seemed to stretch in different directions. Yet even in those moments, there was never a sense of distance. There was always a silent thread holding us together, woven from trust, loyalty, and an understanding built long before we knew the meaning of duty. Growing up, we were taught many things: the importance of resilience, the value of purpose, the meaning of responsibility. But alongside these lessons, there was a more personal understanding forming between us, that we would always be each other's anchor. Not because someone told us to be, but because that is what our hearts naturally became. When one of us needed steadiness, the other seemed to find a way to offer it. When one of us felt overwhelmed, the other brought a sense of balance. This harmony was not planned. It happened quietly, the way real connections do. There were moments when laughter filled our days, small memories that still live in the corners of my mind. There were also moments of pressure, moments when the world seemed to expect more than we felt ready to offer. Yet through all of it, there was a comforting certainty. Whatever the day brought, we were not facing it alone. Standing beside her often gave me a courage I didn't always find in myself, and I hope, in my own way, I offered her the same strength when she needed it. As we grew older, the world around us began to change. Responsibilities shifted, expectations became clearer, and the paths laid before us started to take shape in ways that were both exciting and demanding. Still, even as our roles evolved, our bond did not weaken. Instead, it became deeper, more thoughtful, more intentional. It became a source of grounding, reminding me that beyond any title or duty, there is a part of me that is simply a sister, someone who cherishes the presence of the person who has shared nearly every significant moment of my life. What I appreciate most is that our bond has never been about perfection. It has been about honesty. There have been days when we disagreed, when our perspectives clashed, when we needed space to understand ourselves better. But those moments never left a mark of distance. They instead taught us how to communicate, how to respect one another's individuality, how to grow without drifting apart. Every experience, good or difficult, added another layer to the trust between us. There is something profoundly reassuring about having someone who sees you not as a figure shaped by expectation, but as the person you are beneath it all, someone who remembers your earliest dreams, your uncertainties, your quiet victories, your hidden doubts. Someone who knows the sound of your laughter before the world ever hears your voice. This kind of familiarity can't be built quickly. It can only come from years of living side by side, learning each other's hearts without needing explanations. I often think about the future and the different roles we will each step into. Life will continue to expand around us, bringing new responsibilities, new challenges, and new opportunities. Yet even as these changes arrive, I know that what we share will remain one of the constants in my life. It is a bond that does not fade with distance or time, because it was formed long before we understood what our futures might hold. It is a bond shaped not by circumstance, but by connection quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. In many moments, she has been the reminder that responsibility does not have to feel heavy when carried with someone who believes in you. Her presence has a way of steadying me, of bringing clarity when my thoughts feel tangled, of reminding me that strength can be gentle and support can be silent. She has shown me that loyalty does not need grand gestures. Sometimes it is simply standing beside someone without needing to be asked. And I hope she knows that I carry the same loyalty for her, that she can lean on me with the same trust I have always placed in her, that whatever direction her journey takes, she will never face it without someone who understands her heart. Our paths may not always be identical, but they will always be connected. That, to me, is the beauty of the bond we share. It adapts, it grows, and yet it remains unshaken. There is a certain strength in knowing that even when the days are filled with responsibility, there is someone who still sees the person behind the role, someone who can quiet the noise with just a smile, or calm uncertainty with a few words. Someone who knows the difference between the expressions I show the world and the ones that reveal what I truly feel. That kind of understanding is rare, and I treasure it deeply. As life continues, I hope we keep building on this foundation. I hope we remain each other's source of calm, honesty, and courage. I hope we continue to offer one another space to grow, to change, to discover who we are meant to become. And most of all, I hope we never forget the simplicity of our bond, a bond formed long before responsibility entered our lives, and one that will outlast every role we may ever hold. There is a quiet beauty in relationships that do not need to be declared, that do not need to be proven, that simply exist because two hearts grew alongside each other. What we share is one of the greatest constants in my life. It has shaped my memories, strengthened my character, and given me a sense of belonging that no title could ever provide. And so, as I look forward, I do so with gratitude. Gratitude for the companionship that has supported me, for the sister who has walked beside me with kindness and courage, and for the bond that continues to remind me that no matter how public our paths become, our connection will always belong to a quieter, more personal world. A world we built together, one moment, one memory, one unspoken understanding at a time. If you want, I can also write a more emotional version, a more formal royal style version, a combined 2,000-word version on both sisters. Just tell me. Here is a 1,000-word expansion on identity and future leadership, written entirely in Leonor's calm, sincere, dignified tone, without headings, without the title, and without naming her. It should feel like she is speaking from her inner world, thoughtful, steady, reflective. There comes a time in every young person's life when the questions they once brushed aside begin to take form with greater clarity. Questions about identity, about purpose, about the future that patiently waits just beyond the horizon. These questions do not arrive all at once. They develop quietly, shaped by the people who guide us, the experiences that test us, and the values that begin to settle in our hearts. For me, understanding who I am and what I am preparing to become has been a journey marked not by sudden revelations, but by patient, steady realization. Identity is not a single moment of discovery. It is a collection of choices, memories, and lessons that slowly define the way we see the world and the way we choose to stand within it. Growing up, I understood that my life would unfold under the watchful eyes of many. I learned early that privacy would be limited, that expectations would be present even before I had the chance to understand their full weight. But even within that public space, I have found room to ask myself the quieter, more intimate questions. Who am I beyond what others see? What do I believe in? What kind of person do I hope to become? These questions have guided me through moments of uncertainty and moments of growth. They have taught me that identity is not shaped by the role we are given, but by the values we choose to carry with us. Courage, humility, integrity, compassion, these are not simply words. They are the foundation on which a meaningful life is built. They form the compass that keeps us steady, especially when the expectations around us grow louder. I have learned that true strength does not come from authority, but from understanding one's purpose, and from the willingness to serve others with sincerity. As I continue forward, I often reflect on what it means to prepare for a future that is bigger than my own experiences. There is a responsibility that comes with knowing that one day I may stand at the center of decisions that shape many lives. It is a responsibility that requires discipline, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to learning. It also requires an understanding that leadership is not a crown to wear but a weight to carry with grace. I have come to realize that leadership begins long before one ever steps into a formal role. It begins in how we treat people, in how we listen, in the way we choose to act even when no one is watching. It grows through challenges, through moments when we fall short, moments when we face criticism, moments when we doubt ourselves but choose to rise again. It grows through the patience to learn from others and the humility to accept that we will never have all the answers. In many ways, the preparation for future leadership is not about learning how to be at the front. It is about understanding how to serve from the heart. It is about recognizing that every decision carries weight, every action has impact, and every word can either divide or unite. It is about choosing unity over division, empathy over distance, and responsibility over comfort. There have been moments when the path before me felt overwhelming, moments when the expectations seemed too heavy or the pressure too sharp. But in those moments, I have found reassurance in something simple yet profound, the belief that leadership is not about perfection. It is about growth. It is about learning how to stand again after each uncertainty, how to face each challenge with a calm mind, how to adapt without losing one's principles. Identity and leadership are deeply connected. One cannot lead with clarity if they do not know who they are. And so I continue to learn about myself through the guidance of those who have walked this path before me, through the experiences that challenge me, and through the quiet reflections that allow me to understand what truly matters. I am learning what kind of leader I hope to be, one who listens before speaking, one who serves before leading, one who stands with others rather than above them. The